Hey everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to show you how you can paint this really beautiful Hummingbird and Magnolia fantasy piece. This is going to be a lot of fun to paint. I'm going to show you brushes that I love for diffuse blending with acrylic painting. I'm going to give you some insight to my favorite tools, some ideas of how to use them correctly. We're going to create this image, this Hummingbird and Magnolia, step by step. So I'm going to explain it at a beginner level all the way through everything I'm doing. And to help me do that on the mic is my husband, John. He helps me teach you guys these lessons by tracking me
I do.
with the cameras. He tracks me with one of our many, many cameras that are robotic. They zoom in. And what that does is that allows him to zoom into what I'm doing, really see how I'm mixing the color, really see how I'm laying down the paint on the canvas. You can duplicate it for yourself at home.
Mhm.
Also, in our never-ending goal to make sure that you're having the best time painting possible, in the description, you will find, you got to open it up though. I like to hide a lot of information down there. So much stuff down there. So you open it up and you'll see a link to our website. On our website is a grid for you to use, so you can do the gridding along with me. If you're not into gridding yet, that's totally cool because we've also got a traceable. But these give you some references and stuff to start from. And then usually immediately after a video like this, I'll post up the step by step so that when I say this step 1, step 2, step 3, you guys can actually find those steps and go, oh, we were here on the painting. We were here. So those are our plans. We have enough plans?
I think the plans are good.
I have so many plans to show you how to paint this. There might even be bubbles. I can't say. It's one of those kind of days. Let's jump on in and look at the materials.
All right.
All right. So very important material is my grid. And you can see my grid has numbers 1 through 14 and 1 through 11. When I use this tool on my canvas, it's going to allow me to very easily transfer. Oh my goodness, stretching my arms. That image duplicated onto my 11 by 14 artist board. So I upped my size today a little bit just because I thought it would look better, and it's what I had on the. It's what I had out. So that's what you get. Is a bigger painting today. We have some wishes, some intentions. We like to do this on the show. These come from our community. So we have a wish for Little Brush Mackenzie to breathe easily and get well really quick. Having gone through strep with Lunabella, we just got through that. I definitely wish that for Mackenzie. I know what that's like. Sharon wishes for a good job, for her husband to show up quickly, like a great job, and for it to come in very quickly. Sandra wishes for strength of heart and soul and spirit during a difficult separation, and just optimism and joy for the future. And then I'm wishing, on a very personal level, that Acrylic April this year is a rampant success and is 3 times bigger, even bigger than that this year, and that everybody shows up every day to paint daily with me. Because, like, it's free. Why wouldn't you not do it? The colors today are phthalo green, cadmium yellow, medium, quinacridone magenta, titanium white, Mars black, and burnt sienna. And I've got to get this whole thing in. But first, just to make sure these words don't, affect my color, I'm going to go ahead and take a damp brush and sort of blend them in. Because we want to do a very diffuse background. This part has nothing to do with the diffusion of the background. It's just me smoothing out these watercolor words and making sure that they're not a visual distraction in the painting.
You don't want the patterns to appear through the painting.
If I put words in a surface and a canvas, it's a very serious business, and I'm very particular and will pick specific words that I want. But I do love these words. But you know what I mean? Like you do messaging and stuff like that. It's like a pretty particular specific thing. Now, I'm going to be doing some blending with some of my favorite tools. This is, well, the brush is called the Ultimate Varnish 1 inch. But what it really is kind of an oval mop. Has a nice soft head that's rounded here and here. And it's a lot like these little goat mops. The reason I don't use a goat mop, I'll be real candid, they're an awesome brush, but they tend to shed and they overhold water. So they're really only super useful for blending when they're dry. And on the toothbrush method, it's too hard to pull the water out of them and keep going. So that's why I like a synthetic. There's lots of synthetics. I found, this is an acceptable version I found at Michael's by Artist Loft. I don't like it as much, but you know what? It's okay. And it's there. So sometimes that's the biggest deal, right? So you can find these a lot of places, but if you can't, that would be my backup plan. I also saw a nice one from Princeton that was okay too. To begin this though, I want to lay in big areas of paint, and then I want to blend and lay in big areas of paint, and I want to blend. So I'm going to begin here by taking that big brush I started out with. I'm going to get just a smidge. Whenever I say smidge or scotch, I'm talking about this impossibly small amount of paint on the corner of my brush.
Mmm.
Because, we're not trying to, like, over tint the yellow. And you can see it took very little green to impact that yellow, didn't it?
It really did.
It just doesn't take a lot. And I'm going to come here in this corner. There's even some green still on my brush, but I'm blending as I go. And I'm going to put this out.
Get some green
on the screen. Get some green. Get some green. And we're going to start out. We're going to get this color kind of going out there to begin with. Maybe I'll even come back in with some titanium white. See, I'm loading that up pretty thick and working it into this corner, kind of lightening that up, creaming that out, blending that out. Going outward as we do. Dip in the paint. Kind of want to get my titanium white out of there just because I don't want to cream up the phthalo green. Going back into slightly smaller titch. You can see titch is just that corner of the brush, but it does a lot. Look at it go. Continue to blend these colors in. I'm going to do 2 layers on my surface because these colors are transparent.
Yeah.
And the 2 layers are going to give me a nice optical range. Now, at this point, I have these kind of lines here. I'm going to want to come here with my soft brush. And as you can see, blend that all out. Does that a nice way, doesn't it? Blendy, blendy, blendy. No sheddy, sheddy, sheddy.
Okay, so Melody asked an interesting question.
Answer Melody's interesting question.
Okay.
Might even go on with my mop brush here.
What does titanium white and regular white different? How are they different?
Well, regular white generally is titanium white.
Okay, well, what is that?
It's very rare that they would use. It's a lot of times if you look at primary white, it's still PW6. They haven't changed the pigment. They just call it something different. You might mean tinting white or zinc white, which those are a different pigment. They have a different transparency and a different tinting strength.
So even in like the craft tubes, if you just bought like a white there, would that be titanium white?
It often is. You can always check the little craft tube. And for the most part, because it's not like they're going to use lead white or something on you in a craft tube, it's going to say PW6 and that's going to be titanium white. There are qualities of titanium white for sure. There's pigment loads, lots of things that can impact. I'm just lightly dusting here using my favorite blending tool. Look how well it blends.
You know what Kermit says about green?
It's not easy?
No, once you go green, you can go back.
Is that what Kermit says? I don't feel like I ever heard Kermit say that, but okay. So disturbed. Like you and your Kermit theories here. I'm just grabbing a little bit of yellow and some color on my brush and continuing to blend and diffuse out some of this area.
It's sort of like, I like this blended green.
It's nice. I'm going to rinse this brush out. And what's great is I can come with my towel and pull some of the moisture out. Yeah, there's several whites, but a lot of times you'll look and it'll be like China white, this white, that white. But when you get down to it, when you look at the pigment codes, it's just an essential small amount of pigment codes that change between them. There's a vanity name on the tube of your paint or the bottle on your paint, which doesn't mean that the company is vain. It's kind of like a lipstick name or a makeup name. It's just a name that they feel is beautiful. And then there's the pigment code, which is what the color actually is. So true no matter what you paint with. I'm going to go ahead and dry this because I want to do a second layer. That way I can get like the branches and a bit more of this kind of crazy glow going. But if I get this nice toning in first, it'll make it easier.
So while she's doing that, I will mention the importance of cleaning your brushes, because cleaning your brushes is an important thing that we don't talk about nearly enough. So after you're done painting, make sure that you take your brush, run it under water, get a little soap, run it in the palm of your hand, or some sort of, if you're worried about things, you can use rubber glove. But generally, I just rub them in the palm of my hand, make sure I get them in a good lather, and you can really work that brush a lot more than you think, and then run it under, warm to hot water. And once you get all the suds and soap out of the brush, just lay them so that they're on an incline, so that the water drips out of the brush.
Or flat.
Or flat, yeah.
Or flat.
So.
Yeah, and a downward. If you're going to do it on an incline, angle, they should be hanging downward so everything comes out of the ferrule. Or flat.
Yep.
But not upward in your brush cup.
Nope, that's bad.
No, it's very bad. I mean, the brush won't explode or anything. It just doesn't function as well. These are so good at the moisture being pulled out, like I'm having a hard time figuring out which one I've already gotten wet. Is that not crazy?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, it's going to be this one, so that's how it's going to go. I'm going to get this a little bit wet with some water. I'm going to drag out the extra. All right, and we have a lot of fun colors here, and one of the colors I want to get loaded into my brush is some of my magenta. And I'll get some white. You don't want these brushes to be super wet, but you do want them to be able to blend. Come here, and I just add a little bit of water, and I'm just sort of blending that out. And I always come back with other colors to blend in. I just want to make sure, put a little more pink on here, and yellow, and kind of some white. We're getting some little bits of stuff here.
They really like your necklace today, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So I don't want to have like blobs, right? That's not the goal. What I've got to do is get my brush washed out, and I'm going to come back with my original kind of wonderful green color.
These
I'm
are
just
just
fuse these two together, as you can see.
Are these just little flowers in the background?
These are out of focus little bits of magnolia tree in the distance, and we've got to kind of blend them into each other.
I can see it.
Coming back in here, and you can see like I'll come back into a pigment, and these can blend, you know, a bit on the canvas. Let me come back into there and hit this one again.
I'm going to zoom in over your left shoulder on that,
that
brush, because it's really kind of got a nice...
It is, look, so I'm always torn between, you know, demoing these kinds of tools or not, because I don't want to give you the impression if you don't have a particular brush, you're never going to get an effect, right? However, some tools do help. I'm just coming here and just making sure that that's nicely blended. And what I'm trying to say is that there's not a focal anything. There's no defined edges. There's no hard edges. There's just this sort of distant, oh, maybe something happened here.
Cassandra asks another very interesting question. Do heavy body paints stay wetter longer for blending purposes?
Actually, I feel that soft body paints do. I think soft body paints are probably easier for blending purposes alone. They just don't retain any of their body. And then also the open paints, which have a slow drying agent into them. Let's get a little bit of our burnt sienna into our phthalo green and come back into our cad yellow. Let's start working this cut like kind of corner here, deepening that up. Blending these in together. We got to move quickly enough. I am no way trying to cut John off in any way.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to peek over your left shoulder there.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. I know that sometimes it's just these larger surfaces, it's a little...
It's a little bit?
It's a little different sometimes because, you know, you move around more.
I'm going to get some of this little color sort of distantly. And you can see when it goes into the green, it kind of neutralizes out. I'm not even going to worry about doing like too many branches or anything. What I'm just trying to do is say, hey, some out of focus stuff happens. And it'll make sense when we're stepping back from the canvas. Grab a little bit more phthalo green and just enjoying layering this very diffuse background. This is pretty awesome for clouds and stuff too. There we go. And just you can diffuse that in there and see how it's just a soft, it just softly dusts the color there. And you can come get pink and just put it a few places. I think it'll probably be nice and balancing to have something back here. You can see into the green, it goes kind of dark. Fun stuff. Rinse out thoroughly. Maybe even a two cup rinse out. And I'm going to want to kind of transition some color from here to a very bright area out here. So what I can do is I can get into my blue, not my green and my yellow again, making kind of a nice lighter yellow. Come back into what I have here. And whenever you have like a color that you want to kind of blend in, you can always add it back into stuff that you have to sort of break the eye line. See how that does?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of make sure that nothing is like too out there, but I've got this. I may need to add a little of my cadmium yellow because we're going to take a nice transition. We're going to say that there's such a glow, right?
What was that you put out there?
Cadmium yellow medium.
Cadmium yellow.
All right, I'm just getting this brush, which was a little bit damp and had some of the pigment from there, right, into the yellow. And let's get a bunch of white. And we're going to come right here. And look at that. Diffuse those two layers together. When you're looking for a brush to do these out of focus backgrounds, you want a brush that doesn't hold too much moisture. It needs to not get too wet. You don't want it to shed. It needs to be soft. If you don't want to have to buy 10 of them for the effect, you're going to need one that you can pull moisture out the way I can with these. And you just want it to be seated. I don't want to give the impression that there's only one brush, one brand in the world that will do this, because that would not be accurate. I have my favorites. Those are preferences. Adding more and more light value as I come into here, as you can see. And that's going to continue to create this sort of really luminous background. But working that in. And then you want to step back and evaluate it.
I like it.
You like it?
It's a very bokeh-ish background.
It is a bokeh-ish background. I'm going to get some of that peach. So I took a little of my cad yellow and my pink. And I'm going to take this brush a few places and kind of add those little pops. It's another way to get that background. And you can see these can even be a little bit dry on that surface.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little something to say, oh, there's a little brighter color. So now we kind of have a distant thing. And I would say that is step one, yo.
That's a pretty good step.
That's a good step. So, in recap, kind of what did we do? We laid a first layer down where we did a kind of gradation, right? From this corner, which was quite light, into a deeper green. We added some pink, and then we let it dry. And then we went back over with similar colors, but we deepened them. We got richer into them. We layered them a bit, and then we came through and reinforced the highlight here. And we did that with this really cool little sucker here.
And what's that called?
This is called an Ultimate Varnish Brush, and I'm not lying to you. It's a good varnish brush. It's an excellent varnish brush. However, it, I think, is the ultimate blending brush, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, it is my favorite. And I do have a grip of them all around. If I find others that are also my favorite, I will share them. Now, I'm going to dry this and take a picture of it so we know where step one is.
So, this has been one small step for Sherpettes, but one giant leap for gnomes. So just remember, you guys walk a lot faster than gnomes, so they got to catch up. And if you need to get notified when our gnomes are up, then what you can do is just send a text message to TheArtSherpa to the phone number 33222, and we'll send you a text message when we go live. So just yeah, and it's actually send the message TheArtSherpa. That's the message, and the number that you're going to send it to is 33222, and that's how you get gnomified. So when you hear us making the jokes about the gnomes, coming, that's what we're talking about.
What are we talking about?
Gnomes.
Gnomes?
Yeah,
Get
I
them
just
gnomes.
Gave them the background on how to get gnomified.
It's good to get gnomified because then you know when we're live.
Just true.
Because sometimes stuff happens in our life. Like my littlest got a little sick earlier in the week and I had to move live.
We did. So if you want to get gnomified, that's how you get gnomified.
That's how you get gnomified. And this is how you get step by step. You go to the website.
This is her making the step-by-steps for our website. If
That's
you'd like
right.
for
Well, it
information,
helps you guys. When you can see the step, like if you know, sometimes if you're trying to get to the whole finished painting and it's a complicated painting, that's a lot, isn't it?
Mhm.
Figure out all the layers and have that as a reference. And we love our picture-in-picture and we know it helps. But if you can see these stopping points, a lot of the times it can help you figure out where you're going a little bit easier.
Just before we go on, could
Well,
you...
that's okay. I got to sharpen my Dritz marking tool here.
I got to scroll up. Where did it go? Oh, Paula.
Hi, Paula.
Paula's saying, look, we got way over 300 people here.
Hey, Paula.
Where's our dance? Where's our Sherpa dance? The Sherpa shimmy.
Shimmy and sharpen, shimmy and sharpen. It's the sharpen shimmy. Let's do the sharpen shimmy. Woo, woo. Got one of these sharpen shimmy. Sorry. I'm a big goof.
And you get bubbles too. So thank you guys for joining us. We really do appreciate it. It's nice having you guys hang out.
Getting
with
all excited during my
bubbles.
sharpening process. Who knows what'll happen?
Uncontrollable bubbles.
Uncontrollable bubbles.
They linger.
They do. They linger.
Like a 90s song.
Oh, only if the cranberries are singing. All right. So, sorry, I had to do it. Every 1 inch on this surface, I'm going to make a mark, which hopefully I'll be able to see again in like a second when I go to add the vertical lines. It's a little tough to see these over this side. Now, these sets actually come with colored chalk. I did some research. I talked to the manufacturer. All the chalk is off of a clay base, so there is not a wax in it. So that is not a worry that you have. Well, I mean, sometimes on these, you really kind of worry if it's going to damage your acrylic painting, and it has to be like a clay or a very water dispersant base, and wax and oils are not. In fact, they can ruin the whole piece. So I did some research before I even put this in a link. I've been using this getting ready for Acrylic April.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I've done enough paintings that I'm pretty familiar with the tool. And I'd say I like it. I like it.
And if you're wanting to find the grid or the traceable,
You go to the link in our description below. Open that sucker up because sometimes it doesn't show you the whole description, especially on mobile. So you got to like find the little thing that shows you more. And as you open that up, it'll take you to the website. On the website, if you scroll down, there will be a traceable and a grid and other videos that may help you. Stuff like on how to blend or
there's a
how to
hoodometer.
use the traceable or just anything that's of use to you. That could be of use to you is what I like to add.
There's some stuff there.
There's some stuff.
Now, if someone was really aspiring to draw better,
Yes.
is this tracing and gridding a useful
This
skill?
is a good way to start to understand how objects get laid out in a surface, and it is a very good way to start drawing. Now, you will hear from people that are really into drawing that the only thing in the universe that will make you a better artist in any way is to look at life and draw it as you see it. Awesome stuff to do. Highly recommended. Practice all the time. Don't worry about the outcome. There's a lot of ways to get where you're going, and gridding is a perfectly acceptable version of it. As long as you're engaged in a creative practice every day, you're going to get growth. You're going to get better at your skill. Yes, for sure. Every once in a while, draw from life. See if you can look at something and find those contour lines. But don't let that be a barrier to starting a creative practice. Ever, ever.
Never.
I forbid it. Like, because that, it all matters. But I do.
Now, what are you doing now?
I am marking the grid the opposite direction.
Oh.
Sometimes if I only have like a single acrylic ground, then this is actually step 1. But because this is quite a complicated background, this now is actually step 2, the grid.
Step 2, the grid.
Grid is usually just step 1, but this is a very pretty complicated painting with a lot of techniques and some interesting objects. The magnolia flower. I think this is the first time I've done a magnolia on the channel. Done a lot of other flowers. Certainly not the first hummingbird I've done. Maybe like
that's
5th.
True. Done a couple of those.
Yeah. Maybe like the 5th. You never know. It's a day of hummingbirds. My friend Stephanie is doing a hummingbird later today in watercolor pencils. If you're wanting to hummingbird it up. And then I probably could almost make a hummingbird playlist if you need one. You just need more hummingbird, like more cowbell, more hummingbird. I need more hummingbird the way I need cowbell. Just more of it.
See, I feel like I need to have a beef with hummingbirds.
You need to have a beef with the hummingbirds?
Yeah, because nobody has a beef with hummingbirds. So I feel like, that's something.
I feel like somebody's got to have a beef with hummingbirds because everything in nature has a beef with something else. But maybe I'm just watching Seven Worlds,
right,
seven Worlds, One Planet or something, and I'm like,
who could really be upset with hummingbirds? Stop eating the flower nectar. You annoying little buzzing pretty thing.
All right, well that's probably true, and they're good pollinators too. Nobody's mad at hummingbirds. You're right.
It's like
none of us. It's true. Nobody's that angry at a hummingbird. It does a nice job of gridding, doesn't it?
Yeah.
T-Square is also a nice tool. Is in the description below. Listen, guys, I use Amazon affiliate links, which is cool. It's awesome, right? Great way for you guys to find stuff. But make sure that the prices you're paying on Amazon are the prices stuff is supposed to be because they can automatically change if there's interest and a whole bunch of stuff can happen. So always, I've got the link. But you make sure you check the price because that's the more important thing to me is that you guys get a good price. I'm going to resharpen.
There are Amazon robots that auto price things now.
Super annoying, right? Because that's what we need is something to auto price us right out of what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right. I'm trying to decide if I want to use the color chalk here, but I think for the painting what will be best is this white chalk because it leaves the least amount of pigment I've got to deal with.
Okay.
But basically what you do on these is you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then this lets you using the grid system, figure out not how to draw the whole thing, but all you got to do is draw one thing in one area. So if you're on top row 1, horizontal row 3, you know that the back of your petal comes out to here and kind of comes across and goes down in the middle of 4, but it doesn't go all the way across the middle there. Comes down. And then it exits out grid 5, all still on vertical row 1. Comes catty corner across 6. How easy is this?
Now, what was that T-looking thing you were holding a minute ago?
The T-square, that is in the description.
Okay.
That is a special ruler that lets you make very straight lines because I don't know about you, but sometimes straight lines are more of an issue. I'm now in 7, in horizontal 7, vertical 3. So yeah, that's what that is. That's a T-square. There are very good T-squares, like super pricey, super good. I think I might have that too low.
And then there was the one that you found that has the number in reverse
right
order.
Right now, my current ones have the numbers reversed. I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes they're weird.
They're right to left, not left to right.
Yeah, it's just I was like, okay, that's what are you gonna do?
Like kind of weird.
It out.
Not that they're bad. They're just like I'm curious.
As to why?
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
I had a Ron Burgundy moment when I saw him.
You did. You were like, what is going on here? And I'm like, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine coming up from the diagonal as this kind of petal thing. And then what's great is it kind of comes across here and scoops down a little bit here, comes across, and then all the way back up to 9 over here. And it's 9 row 7. So the tip of this petal is right there. So this lets you deal with scale and other issues that you might be struggling with in your pieces.
Hmm.
Okay, so we get this nice folded petal. Well, the
Erlinda
petals
says
can be hard, right?
Yeah, Erlinda says it's a left-handed T-square.
Is that what it is?
Perhaps it is. Perhaps I am so arrogant in my right-handedness that I did not even presume to assume that it could be left-handed.
Thank you for helping us, Erlinda. Seriously. Because we need it.
My right-handed biasness.
Well, you know we are, aren't we? Aren't we all guilty of a right-handed bias? Other people are like, don't lump me in with you.
All the Southpaws are like, oh yeah, you'll never see it coming.
The right-handed bias?
The left hand.
Oh, we'll never see the left. The right hand never sees the left hand coming. It's true, though. Let's get over into 4. And you can see, like, suddenly it makes this very challenging flower not very challenging. Because you're not drawing the whole thing, right? What are you drawing? You're just drawing each square. When you just draw each square, you can handle it. So what I'm looking for is where here this kind of does the curve up.
Now, if you wanted
There
a
we
copy
go. Huh?
of, if you wanted this step, this gridded in step, so you could
Yeah.
check it, where would that be?
That is on our website for you guys to download.
And that'll be one of the pictures you're taking.
Oh, you mean like the one I'm doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I take these in the step-by-steps, and this will be posted. This will be step 2.
Step 2.
Step 2.
So you can get this gridded version.
Yeah, if you want my gridded version, feel free. I don't mind at all.
And unfortunately,
I'm even kind of complimented because sometimes I don't even want my own gridded version.
I don't have a gridded version to put picture in picture. So
You don't?
I don't.
No, it's better to get the one that we have on the website, to be real candid.
Yeah.
I'm going to come over to 8 here. 8 and 7, and I'm going to bring down kind of a thing here. Come up. Just sort of a foreshortened petal, and it comes up all the way up row 8 to 4, actually, I think. And then folds back. There we go. Doing pretty okay. We can kind of see what we're doing, sort of, maybe.
See, now everyone who's left-handed, they're like, I want a left-handed T-square.
Yeah, well then, yay, we found one.
You know what? It's
I was like, what's up with these T-squares? I bought 2 of them, and I was like, these were a really good deal. But dang, the numbers are backwards.
everything has a purpose and a place.
It's true. I'm making these little crazy leaves here.
Except fire
I don't
ants.
want all of them, but no, fire ants have no purpose and no place. I don't care. Not even my nature shows come back and say, and the fire ants, very important animals to all the other animals. They're like, they suck. They shouldn't be here.
I'm with Ortho, who's like, nobody likes a fire ant.
Nobody likes a fire ant. I don't know if you guys had that ad globally. Boy, we had a whole campaign in Texas.
If you're from the South, you know what a fire ant is.
And you don't like it.
And if you don't, you will soon.
All right, so I've got some little petals down there, and I can kind of imply a little one there so it's nice and tucked. Now, as we draw in the hummingbird, I'm a little worried about doing it in white because I just don't think it's going to show. And I think I can get away with doing it in blue.
That's my favorite sound.
What? The sound of chalk?
That sound.
So I can unload this chalk.
I was wondering if that was
put it
some
aside,
feedback.
And go into my handy dandy chalk pack. Very gently get some other chalk.
Baby chalk. Da-dun-da-dun-da.
Which my kids have been in and have broken. That's okay though. I have backup packs. And also these work in pieces. That was the other thing I checked. Do they work in pieces? They work in pieces. Totally fine. But we have to
It's because
now.
it's got a little gripper.
Yeah.
People would dig in that. It's a little gripper.
It's like you can be like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Say so. Haha, we can see those there. Hopefully this will be great and it will work. So over here on 5 and in 8, we have some beak, and then into 9 we have the head. So I think I'm going to start kind of at the head. I'm going to come over onto my 9 line. My 9 line. And begin where it starts. Let's start where it is. And his little head goes down. Then his little beak is designed for nectar. That's sort of long and thin. Because it's designed for nectar. I don't know why that's so exciting to me. Sorry, guys. Did not mean to do that. I've invoked it. Okay. And then through 10 and 8, we've got a little bit of belly happening here, and it kind of really comes across here. And then through 11, we have some of the tail, which comes down here. Through 12, the bottom of the tail comes down this corner. And everything making sure, I think I got to lower this actually. And then come down here. This happens to me sometimes when I'm doing the class where I'm like, oh, I got to bring it down. Okay. But luckily, that's all super removable. It's 9. And if I feel like, here's the thing, like if I'm like, I'm frustrated and I want to change it, guess what I do?
You erase it with water.
Yeah. Pretty easily. So 9 and 10. Yeah, I got way offline. There we go. It comes in here and down there. There we go. Just got over a 7. And then that. All right, good. There you go. And across 11 and 9 to about here. And then the tail. I don't know why I'm that excited. But sometimes when you regrid and you're like, oh no, I see it, I got it. It's just a nice feeling. Just a nice feeling. And the wing is really interesting because it comes out to the top line of 6 over at 14. You know, and finishes here on 8 over at 11. So that's kind of like not a rough little finish of the wing. And I'm going to be real delicate with that. I don't want to, because I got feathers to do. So I don't want to be too intense on that. There we go. Got the foreshortened little wing there. Getting it in. And then, of course, we'll have the little feet later. we'll put those in at the end. So we've got the basic things sketched. Goodness gracious, guys, we just did step 2. I'm going to take a sip. You guys good?
You get your watermelon rose.
My watermelon rose cavita.
That's so
which
nice.
I like. It's weird tasting, but I like weird tasting, so what are you going to do?
I like it. Turned out quite nice. This is, you're all sketched in now. Now the real stuff starts to happen.
Now the crazy stuff starts to go on. Now we get business all into the business. But there's your step 2.
That's pretty cool.
That you did. Slow, tedious, but in. Now, at this stage, I can mist my paint so it doesn't get any drier because we've got, heaters and stuff running today. And I can put out some of my other colors that I have. Now, I have zinc white, different than titanium white, because it's not as opaque or tinting. It lets you create a color, lighten it, but not really change the hue. I'm going to put out more titanium white because we're going to just need lots of that.
Yeah.
That's going to be the whole time. I'm going to need some cad red. Couple places, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard to say. Do I want to put it over by the yellow? Do I want to put it by my magenta? Because I know I'm mixing into both. I for sure am going to need some phthalo blue and some dioxazine purple. We'll see if I need burnt sienna any more than what I've got out there. I think I'm pretty good for the rest of this, but I will need some dioxazine purple.
Dioxazine.
Dioxazine purple.
The most ancient of purples.
Yes.
No, it is the most it's like the most newest, isn't it? Dioxazine's an artificial color?
It's definitely one of the modern colors. If you would put it in the modern color palette. So we have this wonderful little gorgeous magnolia. Let's just real quick kind of make sure we've got these little lines worked out. So I'm going to take a little of my magenta and with a little bit of yellow. Get some white in there. And make sure. Is that me or you?
What?
Oh, it's one of the kids.
Oh, there's something over. There it is. I got it.
Just to make sure as I'm going that I've kind of got this like roughed in where I want it. I'll sketch these in right now. That way, as I paint this in, I've got some more permanent standing lines. I'm going to use a light pink. And the reason is that way it doesn't over tint kind of what I got going on. I can paint over it easily. I just want to be able to see it, as you do. As you do, or as I do, somebody does.
As you do.
Somebody does something. Somebody does something. We got that nice little, lots of folded petals here, which is great on a magnolia. Magnolias are actually pretty fun and easy to paint. Not to give anybody trouble because I said the E word, but they are pretty chill. Looking good in the neighborhood. And I'll go ahead and make sure that I've got a few. My coming green. I sketch this in so I don't lose these as I'm painting vigorously. We're going to paint vigorously, I say to you. I do. I say this to you. Let's use a number 8 cat's tongue to do nice fast work on this flower. And we're going to start blocking in the flower. And the first thing I'm going to want to get into the flower, I'm going to take a little bit of my cad red and mix it into my magenta. And I'm going to come here and paint the inside up the edge of that petal. It's quite dark, isn't it? We want that. We want that to be dark. And I'm going to get my zinc white. And it's going to lighten it a little bit, but not change. And you can see that's very different than the overpowering white of titanium white, which is fantastic when you're trying to drastically lighten up anything. But it can really radically change the hue, as we're about to see here. And we're going to be blocking in this sort of like starting value set. There, done.
Now the
brushstroke should be the direction the petal grows.
I was going to ask you that. Brushstrokes seem to be important there.
In flowers, pencils, whether you're doing paints or pencils or whatever you're doing, brushstrokes need to be the direction that the petal grows. I'm going to smooth these into the paint that I already have. And if I need to come back out, I can. Just giving ourselves a starting point. I'm going to come here. This whole outer is going to be a darker value. You can dip the brush in water if you need better flow. Here and then down. And then for sure, this down here is also dark.
Yeah.
So what we're doing here is almost kind of a blocking in. Now I'm going to wipe out, not wipe out like erase, but wipe out the excess pigment. I come back into my titanium white. And just add the lighter values where they would be at. Dip in your water if you need to. Painting on the toe of the brush. Coming on the contour lines. Those are the structural lines of the flower, right? You need more pink, you get more pink. Because again, we're blocking in the magnolia. Step 3, blocking it in.
Now, magnolias are one of these really, this is the thing that we got in the backyard, right?
Well, we have one type. This, I believe, I'm going to guess is a Japanese magnolia.
So we have the
southern style.
The southern Texas variety that drops the hand grenades on the ground for your lawnmower.
Seed pods, yeah. That my son likes lobbing at his sisters. Yes. Yes, that joy.
And yeah, they're like, if you hit them with your riding lawnmower, they're like little rockets that fire across the ground. Just
I'm going to add a little yellow to this mix here. Because where they're kind of in sunlight, they'd be a little bit warmer, wouldn't they?
And they're gigantic. The flowers,
yeah, they're
huge.
And beautiful.
And
for a point, I don't think there's anything in them that hummingbirds actually get into, but I like the combo of these, so that's what happened. Happened.
It was just visiting. It was like, so what's over here? And they were like, no, dude, this is a dry bar.
That's right. That's what they said. But maybe they had a feeder there at the tree, and that's why the bird.
That's why it was just. Here. It was just like, this is just a pretty flower.
And it was just visiting, like, you're colorful. You know, kind of like that poor spider with the paddle mating dance. It's a paddle. It's a paddle. Sorry, we've been watching nature shows at night, so I'm going to make random references about animals. My new most respected animal is the llama. I had no idea they were so gangster.
They're like not going down, and at all. They're not going down. Period.
The llama does not give up the ghost for nobody.
No, like.
And if you come for him, you better be ready to be injured because he's going to throw down.
Yeah,
he's the wild llama.
You thought Ewoks were cute and tough, man. Llama's got it.
It's all about the llama for me now. All right, look at that. So we're doing pretty good. We just have a few more things to kind of block in here. So we have a nice little sort of green petal color over here. Let's start with a little of our yellow and green, our cad yellow and our green. And we may even come get a little burnt sienna into that mix just to give ourselves some value. So go under that there with our darker green. And even when you get the yellow into it and bring it around, right? And we'll have to like definitely be lighting. I think I need to lighten that value a bit. There we go, but I just didn't want it to be all the way through. There we go. Putting some yellow green here at the base.
You lean over there just a little bit. Oh, no, it's okay.
Sorry.
I just know that you're...
I'm leaning?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Just sometimes it's harder to get in there and see the little...
So, you know, man, sometimes I'm just doing stuff and I don't even know what I'm doing.
And you're using the cat's tongue, and
I'm still just using the cat's tongue, and I'm just painting in my big shapes, and I'm not being too...
Can I make a comment on some things you're doing that you're not, let's see, even like... So I've noticed that you're automatically like rolling the brush around and putting the darker parts like in, like you're making shape there with your colors.
Yes.
Rolling your brush around and really using...
God, you'll notice it. Step 3! Yes, he's right. I do tend to roll my brush. You should get in the habit of rolling your brush because your brush generally has paint on several sides, right? And you want to engage your brush on its most active side. I'm really liking this already.
What if it has a sleepy side? It's just like, no.
Everybody's brush has a sleepy side. I mean, we know what we're saying here, right? Okay. Let's also do something similar to our hummingbird. So I'm going to come in here and get my Doc's purple and my phthalo blue. Just paint that in. Now, if you look at him, he has very specific markings, right? So we'll sort of be honorable of those. We'll respect the color that he has chosen to have. Given how colorful he is, I am making some assumptions that this is a boy hummingbird. I'll tell you what, though, budgies from Australia, colorful across the genders. I have that there. That's nice, right? Nice dark green there.
It's got the...
Yeah. And then the next color that we have in him is kind of a turquoise. So I'll definitely, let's get the zinc in it to show the turquoise, but I don't want to lighten it. See how that works really well? I want to see it. I just don't want to lighten it. So I'm going to add some of that turquoise there. The titch in the wing here. Across here. Subtle differences between these two. Getting into my green and my yellow. And a lot more yellow. And under here.
Oh, you got a little more. I'm going to move over there.
There we go.
Realize that you had so much more paint over there out.
Yeah, just putting that out, right? These are big, bold strokes. Big, bold strokes. Who's bold? We're bold. How bold are we? Bold enough to do this. A little bit more turquoise there, I think. The green. Far back to the green can we go? The tail, really across here is when it starts to go orange. So I'm going to just use that brush stroke to make sure that there's a nice blend on the belly. And then we've got kind of a orange tail. So I'm going to take my cad red and my magenta, and then I'm going to also put out some more cad yellow. Do top of the tail. Different than top of the world. This is not the finished painting of the bird. What are we doing? We're blocking in. We're assessing values that we could use. I'm going to get a little of my black into that and come sort of underneath here and underneath the tail that way. Just saying, hey, there's some values that we're saying exist. And then the wings, I feel, are like almost like a purple gray with a titch of blue in them. They're a really interesting color. So I will darker.
Now, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more over your left.
Okay.
You have to monitor your lean. Oh, there we go. I can really see that. And that's got a lot of, the way that you're loading the brush only on one side, really, you can really see that it makes those feather shapes.
It does. And see, I'm just pulling it back.
Wow.
So I'm not having to fight for that. I can block that in pretty chill.
And the brush just does a lot of the work.
I like to make my brush do the work. Make your brush work for you. You paid for it. It should
don't
do
lean
the
on
job.
me.
Huh?
There you go. I don't want you to lean over because I love seeing what you're doing right there.
Just getting some dark value in there. He's blocked it.
Yeah.
Step 4.
That looks great.
Right. So now we can kind of see what's happening in our painting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I need some clean water for when I clean it up because I got to get the grit off. But
What I'll do is I'll let you come over here and get a little sippy of your coffee, and I'll just get you some fresh water while we
I'm out of coffee.
You're out of coffee?
I'm into Kavita only.
Whatever
Well,
will we
it's
do?
a shocking state of affairs.
It
Step 4. What is this? Step 4. Go find step 4.
It's in there. It's a step.
And here's what. So you just come find step 4 and you're like, all I got to do is get there.
It's a step in the right
Use these like
direction.
checkpoints in your painting journey where you're like, I don't got to get all the way to step 8 yet. I just got to get to 4. This is where I got to end up. Something like this. And then the rest of it is just this really sort of like chill journey that you can take as you go along. I think sometimes like when we look at the totality of something, let's take mess in our house, right? So you've got like what I like to call laundry mountain. I get a laundry mountain from time to time. And when you think of every load of laundry, right, it's just almost too daunting to do. But if you're just like, well, I'm going to separate it and I'll start these loads and I'll get these loads, you can kind of work your way through this big monstrous project very easily. I'm going to dry this so that I can clean up. Oh, yeah. What's this?
Cold.
Oh, no, I don't need cold coffee. Love you, though.
I just had a little bit.
Thank you for offering.
Okay. So, and like, one of the things that I forgot to mention with you guys, if you're painting with a stretched canvas and you're having some trouble with it having some bounce to the surface, you can take a little spritzer of water, kind of like the one that you got over there, like just an old, any old bottle that sprays just water. Spray just a little bit of water on the back of it, and what it'll do is that cotton will shrink, and it will create a little more of a drum-like surface on that stretched canvas, and that'll bring that bounce back. It'll also repair dents. Yeah. So.
With water?
With water, just a little spray water.
A little bit of water. So I'm just taking a damp brush with clean water over a very dry painting. Right? I don't want it soaked because that's going to make my board warp unless I'm on like a really good ampersand, which I'm not. And if you're not aware, ampersand is the finest of the art boards. So when your painting's got to absolutely be perfect, you want to put it on the best surface ever, for like your great masterwork, it's a fantastic company to be aware of. Mm-hmm. I am not paid to say that. It's just a thing I think. Okay. Look at that. It's all gone. You just find any place that you think it's lingering and
make it so.
Make it so. Look, it's gone now. And now I have gotten, like, not even terrible at this stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not even terrible. I'm going to continue on with my cat sign because I was enjoying that. I may engage another favorite weapon, which is this domed blender. You know, I have my domed scumbler for my clouds?
Mm-hmm.
They make a domed blender.
Oh, neat.
So you can blend smaller areas. These are a little big and they really only come in that 1-inch size. So I wanted to find something that would let me blend in smaller areas.
Interesting.
It was interesting, actually. I was like, this is so exciting. I can blend in smaller areas. I'm going to put out some more white. I generally go through twice as much white on a painting as any other color.
Yeah.
Just, how it be. I'm going to load up into some pink. And I'm going to work that into my brush. You can see I'm just working that into the bristles. I'm going to grab a titch of yellow. I don't want this to stop being magenta. I just want it to have a bit of yellow in it. I'll load up my brush. I'm dipping in water and then I'm loading into the filaments, right? Because this has got a much lighter kind of white pink in it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just blending that back. I'm pressing the brush in, which is pulling the pigment out. Hard pressure on that. Look how much that's bent. I'm really moving that paint around the surface. Maybe even a little more yellow as we go, right? Work that in. I leave like a little bit of a pink darker edge right there.
Let me scooch over there. Oh, there it is.
Just leaving a
Oh,
little
you're
bit
just
of
leaving a little bit of that edge?
a little bit.
Yeah. That creates that sort of complex shape that you often see in those big flowers.
Now I lost a bit of my subtle line, so I just coming back with a clean brush and cleaning up where I didn't mean to paint. Because that'll happen sometimes. I'll get all enthused into what I'm doing, and then I'm like, wait, what? I didn't mean to paint that out. Getting back into my quinacridone and cad red, and I really love tinting this with just the zinc. Bring a dark line up here, dipping in water just so that there's nice flow. I'm going to come onto this tip and pull that back a bit. Now what I can do is, while everything is still wet, I can take this or any soft like little detail blender.
Oh, there we go.
And you can kind of like blend that in. If I need to dampen the brush, I can.
You just have to watch your lean there so I can.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry to bug you. I'm just watching.
Well, I made you move it over. Maybe you have to make you move it back. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I just think that today we may have moved something, so I'm gonna check it later.
No, it's probably me. Because it's a more detailed piece.
Yeah, I've noticed you're closer to it today, so it's one of the things I'll just adjust for next time.
So much like my big guy, I can use this to kind of create those like interesting little blends, can't I? You can come right back into the paint and like, no, be blendy. So these are really nice. Yeah, they're wonderful for clouds and they're wonderful for lots of things. Wonderful. You might also just use a small like round brush that's soft. Sometimes I like to get some yellow into it. Blend that out there. Isn't that nice blending?
Mm-hmm.
But what we are doing is notice that we're still in the direction of the petal. I'm going to step back and look at that. I like it.
I like it too. It's actually looking a little bit surreal now from the camera angle. Like as you get back, it starts to look super real. So like there's an actual bird forming on the surface.
So I've taken my brush and I've kind of gotten a little bit damp and I put out some white paint because I want to come here and put a little light edge that's happening. Because the flower has a little bit of a light edge. Up here. Thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blending it back and forth, softening that. Soften, 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 soften. Let's work a little bit, some other stuff. Now here you'll notice it's very dark, right? So I'm going to get some purple And I'm going to put out some more quinacridone. And I'm going to use that mix to create the deep shadows in between the petals. It's nice and it does that well, and we're going to do that. It's a titch of purple. And it's kind of a glaze, so
you go down there.
you can come here and
Ooh, there it is.
very easily on the toe, just sort of work that in. And maybe even exaggerate the vein up the flower.
I have to say that's very burgundy.
Ron Burgundy? Say you? All right, I'm going to come right here, and I've got this nice deep shadow. And then there's a bit of one right here on the outside edge. Can you see that?
I can.
Nice, nice. Rinsing out. I'm going to go ahead and get a little of my magenta into my zinc and work that right here underneath. Of that flower. And a little bit of your love in that. And blend that up together nicely. It's good. Get a little more. Again, using my zinc and my magenta. It's a nice flow. I will rinse out and get a little bit of my titanium white into this mix. Pulling that nice long stroke. And that little light in highlight and dark there lets it kind of feel like maybe the piece is a little bit bent, which we want. And as we get more out to the tip, it could get lighter. Am I still in the way?
You're doing good.
Okay. All right. So we kind of get that going. Doesn't that look good?
It does.
I may put out a little more titanium white. See, I'm going through a lot more titanium white than any other color. But the petals are starting to look lit and stuff is starting to happen. And so that's really kind of the goal. Let's get a little pink into here. What's wonderful about the inside of this is it's light, but it's not as white as some of the other petals. I can come in here. And then from the center, if I want, a brighter pop of pink. Blend that out. There we go. Whoop. Almost knocked my drink off. How's that looking?
Looks awesome, I think.
Anything that you want to soften or pull in, you can always do that with. So you don't have those nice diffused edges if you want. And then I'm going to come in with some white. It's kind of like right there. A little bit of a glow. Let's call this 5. Because we've just gone a while.
Yeah.
Sometimes we break up the steps because there was a lot to get here and we still have a bit to go. So we break that up into that number.
Yeah, this is I really like how the blend, how the blendedness of this. as you pull back, it really just sharpens more and more real for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it does.
I don't,
And I
I don't know.
like that. I do like to have some realism. I do, I do, I do, I do.
But I like the painterly nature of it when you get up close to it. You know what I mean?
I do. Because
So
it's nice that it looks like a painting. I'm not trying to hide that it's a painting. I'm going to get some very creamed out green. It has a lot of yellow and a lot of white. I'm going to come in. I've got my number 4 round. I'm going to fold that petal over there. Get a little yellow. And just rinsed out. I'm going to blend it to the edge there. So you can see sometimes I blend by just using a clean brush.
sounds like an 80s movie. Blend it to the edge.
It is like an 80s movie. I think that there's a song about it. Right?
I I don't know. I feel like there was an arm wrestling movie that had something to do with that.
That was Over the Top
Oh,
with
yeah,
Sylvester Stallone.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know.
See, I just
John doesn't actually know what any of these are because he falls asleep during the movies.
you know, it's since I was 10.
But we go a lot together, so I just remind him what we've seen. I'm just taking some green and I'm just working some details right there. Little lines, little definitions, little areas. I'm underneath there and pop some of that, powerful phthalo green. Interestingly enough, I'm going to get a little bit of my phthalo blue. And it's okay if it gets into my pink and purples up a bit, I have to tell you. I'm going to come out here. Let's make a little shadow with that. And I'm going to come underneath this one with that kind of purple blue range. I can always get more blue. Getting underneath there. Lots of white, maybe a little green. If I need more water to improve flow, what do? I get it.
Paula would like to know if this pseudo 80s movie will feature Kevin the Kraken.
Only if the guy that did Parasite and the Host directs it. All right, I'm grabbing a little white and pink and coming along here. So this is essentially kind of like a half-formed little petal that comes out there. Also kind of make that a little bit white again too. Let's get a little pink, wherever we can find a little pink unguarded. Sometimes you have unguarded pink on your palette, right? Rinsed out, damp brush, gonna smooth it a bit. And blend that around. See how we're doing?
Oh, cinnamon.
What'd I do? What I do? I'm in trouble. What I do?
So I was just gonna say, you know who I think should direct it
Who?
would be Bong Joon-ho, which is the director of Snowpiercer.
Oh yeah.
What I didn't realize is that he's also the director of Parasite.
See, this is good, right?
Yeah.
It's just good. We just know that he's good. I don't get it. I never know where a movie's going to take me when he's directing, but I'm willing to show up and then be really weirded out. I like to add little pops of bright color there just to help those petals feel pulled off, right?
Mm.
Now, at this stage, you can take a little bit of your docs, put out a little more of your quinacridone, and you've still got your number 4, right?
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It didn't run away
Mm-mm.
with the cow and
You
the
guys
moon?
don't mind that I'm getting deep, do you?
Is this a philosophical question?
No, it's a painting question.
Getting
gonna
deep
come
into the
here.
purple, man. I thought that was a music thing.
And I'm going to add just some of these little more defined lines. Come here and just... I'm using my
Number 4 round.
number 4 round, and I'm kind of getting in there sometimes and subtracting. I'm exaggerating some of this.
Doing some blendy.
It's just sometimes if we exaggerate certain elements of something, it kind of helps us really see what it is. Not always, but sometimes. Come back with the rosy color in a little bit. In a little bit. Now, this petal. Oh, so much is going on here, right? So much.
So very much.
So very much. So let's get a little bit of our pink. Let's go ahead and get some of our white. It's okay if we grab a bit of yellow. Blend that. And if you come in with a little bit of white and you can come along this little edge here. It's got a little bit of moisture on it. I'm going to just blend that back. Now this blends because I added some water to it, guys. You could add medium too. If you wanted medium, you could add medium. And get a lot more white. Uh-oh, see that green got on there? I gotta get that green off. That green is gonna sneak in and mess up my day.
Yep.
And I don't want it to.
Kermit was right.
It's not easy to be green.
Something like that.
And just blend that a little bit. So we're just trying to find some highlights and some sunlight and, you know, all of that. We definitely need our pink. Can you believe how much quinacridone we are whipping through?
It's like the
color of the day. Titanium white and quinacridone. Color of the day.
thirsty
Thirsty.
surface. It's like, I like the quins.
Thirsty.
Wants the quins today.
It does. I'm put this on. The reason I'm always looking for unpainted on little spots on my palette is because sometimes the skins of the paint will peel up.
You don't want that lumpy paint.
No, that's ultramarine. I don't want that one. I want cad yellow. I want cadmium yellow. I want my yellow. Let's see how that does there. Looking good in the neighborhood. Okay, so some beautiful beautiful stuff over here. Little trick, we're going to take our zinc.
Oh, yeah. Sorry there. Getting my
Notice how
camera on
that's
that.
slightly transparent.
Hmm.
And that lets us lighten that up, you know, improve, you know, everything about how that looks, but it isn't such a big transition. I'm going to use this here.
Betty had a question here.
Hi, Betty. How are you?
She ended up getting some paints that said open acrylics on
Oh,
them.
those are fantastic.
What's the difference between those and a regular acrylic?
So the open acrylics have a like all acrylics have just a ton of stuff in them. It's hard for people to understand how many things are in your acrylic paint, surfactants, sulficants, all that. But the opens also have a retarder that is very much like my glazing medium. It doesn't prevent the paint from ever drying, but it slows it significantly. So if you're used to oil techniques, those work better. They intermix with regular acrylics just fine. So you can use them with any other acrylics. And sometimes you can use their golden open white as a way to improve blendability, because you notice how much white we're using. You can use that too. So don't be like, sorry, you lucked out. Hopefully you got them at a great price on top of that, so you can add, and I got them at a deal. But either way, they're a fantastic product.
Yes.
I'm just doing the zinc over here. And I may go over the beak a little bit, and that lets you see how transparent it actually is. Because I just want some nice kind of fluidy. Do you love that?
And you can rebeak easy.
I can rebeak easy. Can you rebeak easy?
No.
I'm going to come right in here with a little bit of my
But I'm not a painter.
And sometimes, boop, boop, just the smallest amount of yellow. If you overpaint it like I just did there, what do? You come back, clean it up. Don't feel like you can't, because you can. And I'm just going to keep going and enjoying myself. Hopefully you guys are too. Adding a bit of yellow to that tint right there. Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe right there in that center. Now we're doing good, good, good. And then a little bit of that. I just love that white. I don't want to get any of the blue into it, which is what I'm trying to avoid. I may put out some more of my zinc, just so I'm not struggling, because I'm really liking to use it. And I like the direction. I like the way this petal is going and how playing with it. Sometimes the layers and the playing and all of that makes a huge difference.
It adds the layers of complexity that your eye desires.
And our eye does desire it.
It yearns for visual complexity.
Yes, it does. I'm going to brush this over here on this little edge here. And just continue to pull that there. And you can always just back up and be like, where is my flower at? You know, it's super easy to grab a little magenta. Little magenta. And some white. You can always put a little cat into it to warm it. Keep getting in here and keep lightening that up. And that's the other thing too, is you can lighten up little bits. You don't have to over lighten as you're working it out. Oh, this is looking really good. Couple of spots. We're going to need titanium white itself.
Mm.
Number 8 cat's tongue still. Just creating those like stronger pops of white in a couple of places. Looking good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now to finish this up, a weird little touch I'm going to do is I'm going to put out some of my fluid paint. This is my titanium white, and you can see that it's a less heavy consistency. I'm going to get my number 4. And I'm going to come kind of edge define. Let me dry this real fast and then edge define this.
Now, the if you need to, you can. Oh, sorry, Sim just caught me off guard there. Want to make sure that if you need to, make sure you've got clean water there, because doing this with dirty water will make it really. The white will get all kind of icky. Is that how the right way of saying it?
Yeah, it dulls your paint colors. It's one of the things that you can do if you're having trouble with your paint colors being vibrant is change your water often.
And that's because the paint floating in the water actually colors that, doesn't it?
Yes, very much so. A little bit right here. We are edge defining some of these petals. This is a nice thing to do whenever you're painting flowers. For it to work, though, you've got to be able to run a pretty fine line, which is why I use the specific things that I use. Oh, darn it. So what's happening there is that my wrist is resting against the canvas and it wasn't completely dry, and so sometimes my hand will stick to the paint.
Hmm.
So I've got to be careful and not. I'm just getting little bits of this white. You can mix, okay, these paints, come in all the colors that your heavy body paints come in. So you can have a full set for mixability. But in general, I just keep a few around. And like I could add pink into the white. I could add any of these colors into it. To help me edge define these objects. Don't you love it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got to do it on his eyes and a couple places on him anyway. So why not take advantage of that effect? You can even pull in some detail highlights there.
Ooh.
On that petal, making some delicate little adjustments. Yep, I'd say we call that step 6. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that as step 6.
That turned out pretty fantastic.
Step 6.
And then really, you're moving on to is it bird now? Or are you
yeah, we're going to do 2 things on the bird. So it's like 7/8. It's 8-step painting.
Come over here to the bird.
How are we feeling at home about our painting?
Pretty excited. This has been pretty awesome.
I'm enjoying it as well, I must
Yeah.
say. I'm going to do a lot of my bird in my number 4 round. So I'm going to take a little bit of my blue and my purple and come in, I got some clean water here, and I'm going to come in and work my bird here. I'm going to make sure that I've got a nice sharp beak, as you do.
Get that beak back.
Yeah, get my beak back, and you can see it's quite sharp. Sharp, sharp, sharp. So when we're doing this wonderful little bird, I'm going to do an interesting thing. After I kind of refix up my blue here, I'm going to sort of paint him in this weird backwards way. And the reason is because I want the feathers to layer in very specifically. And so this is kind of like a mermaid scale thing where I'm going to bring it back, bring it back, bring it back, and then they'll feather over and they'll layer over really well. That's the theory anyways.
I'm interested.
So let's make sure our brushes are very clean. We don't want any blue. I'm going to get a little of my magenta into my cad red, and I'm going to grab some of my yellow, and I'm going to make a pretty dark orange to start. And pull back some tail. And then I might get some, lighter yellow and add a bit of a darker feather there. Wipe out. And remember, you can always come in with your thing and kind of highlight or layer or work these a bit if you need to. I'm going to make sure where I want to bring these to because I don't want it to go back so far because I know I do want to leave room for my turquoise. All right, so that's pretty good, but let's get a little yellow in our zinc and got some nice reflections right there. You can always come in and do a little brown and a black for the underside. Just touching it in. So it's kind of like a touch and pull. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Little touch and pull. Now his back has that nice turquoise, which we know is our phthalo green, our phthalo blue. It doesn't hurt to get a smidge of yellow into it. And let's start pulling some little feathers here. If I have to hold it kind of at an angle, I will, because what I want to do is I want to pull back. This will allow me to layer over. See how I'm layering over?
Mm-hmm. And because it's easy for you to do that pull down stroke, you like to make that.
Yeah. It's just really, you know what? I think it's effective. I think it's easier. Let's add some bright kind of like highlights into that. Not too much, but just enough to be like, wow, we're so cool. We can do some of our belly, which is our very bright green. Let's make a very, very bright green. If you need to get a little water into your brush to improve flow, don't forget you can do that. One of the number one questions people ask is, why does the paint flow off your brush? It's not flowing off of mine. And what I would say is probably that is because of the load and how much water is on there. Sometimes it can be the paint, but most often it's something to do with the water. Now come back into a very bright green and you can get the sink into that, and we're going to pull that right there. How's that looking? Good?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some wings in. And do we remember what colors our wings were? It was a little bit of purple, a little bit of blue, and we were like, let's get a little smidge of black into it, right?
Okay. I'm glad you remember.
So I'm going to load with my zinc and water.
I did not remember.
You didn't? Like, no, man, I'm just switching the camera.
I would be rewinding.
That would be okay if you don't. All right, so we have that there. I'm going to go into, you can even get into your fluid white if it's out. We'll pull. Now it's layering. If you need a darker color, you can always come back in and add it back in. You just want to get that distant little wing. And I might even pull like just a little white into my brush, but with a lot of water. Just so we can kind of define those little feathers a bit. Now there's some nice little kind of green, blue, kind of turquoise feathers. I don't want to lose those. Do you guys want to lose those? No, because he's so gemmy. Let's get into that. I'm going to wet my brush. I can get into my fluid white too, not just my zinc. Make sure there's a nice line there on our little bird fellow. And come out further. Just adding little bits of feather definition. Other wing. Back into our wing color. Which is a good color.
I like it.
Dipping in water.
Little birds coming in fast.
They do. They come in fast. Let's get our fluid white since we have it out anyways. Lovely, lovely. But we do want to be darker as we come back. Not terrible as wings go. And we can always work some of our awesome turquoise.
Yeah.
Into that wing. Like you could even be a little more like, oh, I'm going to be a little more green, a little more teal this time. So there we go. This is about halfway through the bird. And I want you guys to be able to really see it. So I'm going to get an up close picture of it. We'll call that step 7.
Okay.
That way you guys can kind of see how the layering of the bird goes in. I don't want to get too far into him and then have it where nobody can see how he was done.
Yeah, his layers here are really nice. Get yourself a little photo of him.
Yeah, just so you guys can see it, because what you guys can see in general, you can do. You can see it, you can duplicate it. We're whipping through, we're nearly done, interestingly enough. As we go along, let's get back into some more cool, little patterning and everything. Turquoise is our favorite color. A little more blue into this turquoise. I like to kind of, again, tip that over. Layer that in. As we come up, we just get into, more of our white that kind of reveals the color that we've got going. If you get a little more yellow into your turquoise, it's quite pretty. That's sort of his more interesting color scheme, isn't it? And it goes around his neck a little bit. As we come up, we're going to get more into our blue. I want to rinse out. I'm going to take my blue, but I do want to use my, not my titanium, but my zinc white, and I'm going to get that kind of brighter blue. And start to think about what it means to go on the top. I'm bringing that there.
Just be careful you don't go over the top.
Are we really going to make that many arm wrestling jokes today? For sure, Mr. Cooney?
They make themselves.
They don't make them. You encourage to happen. And get some nice bright little turquoise colors right here. Just make sure that these are, I think we need much more yellow into it. We're just trying to make a little colorful fellow that's very pretty as he flies. And I think I'm going to come get a little white on my brush, but I'm going to use my fluid. You could use your zinc, either one's fine. And I'm going to do something on the wing real fast. I come here, and in the center of these feathers, I'm going to add a little bit of a white pool. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't bring it into the next feathers. I just want to exaggerate some of that there, the feather definition. A little bit. There we go. Ah, that's nice. He just needed a little reflection. Now, I do tend to want to get into my monogram liner when I'm doing certain types of details. So I'm going to get a little bit of my blue onto my brush, and I'll go ahead and add my fluid white into it. If I need to, I get what's called a vision enhancer going on my face. I'm going to come and just delicately put in the top highlight of his little beak. You can see that there. So it's like a little two-toned.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine to take that same kind of color around his eye. Which is like right about here. Let's say is I'm going to move some of the blue closer to this eye. This, what you see me doing here is, you know, where you see me going around his eye, is the lighter area that's going to help define his little orb that we're going to put in. But until then, I've got to get a little of my blue and a lot of my white. Let's come here. And add a few close to that little feathers. You can always come get darker feathers. Now we're doing for the top.
Mm-hmm.
And we're using our small little brush to, again, do little bits of detail, not every detail. You want to do little bits of detail, every detail, little bits. Maybe I'll put a few little spots sort of exaggerated right here at the cheek. Always nice to do. I also keep a little fluid black in. That is really just to Make sure I can do any detailing I need to in dark colors. Always useful for me. Bring this up here. Paint this kind of bead inside that lighter area. As you do. Or as we do today. As we have done. And get a lighter color. And you can come a little bit of little kind of pin feather under the eye here. See how we're doing?
Yeah.
It's a subtle thing, but it matters. And then I might go ahead and get some of that subtler color and come right here while this is all still wet and make a diffused little moment up here before I put in the white highlight. All right. So what this is this is where there's a little bit of shading against this black eye before we put in the white reflection. Well, that's all having it dry. Guess what we get to do? Little bird feet, which are tiny and tucked. I'm going to take a little of my burnt sienna and my black that I have out. I'm going to make sure it's pretty thinned. And back here towards the tail, I'm going to just tuck a little bit of, just a teeny tiny little foot. These are barely showing. Because they tend to tuck these into their little body, so they're streamlined. Just weird little feet. You can tuck them all the way in. You can do more you want. It's all good. I will not be stressed at you. Come in and exaggerate the line on the beak.
Let me go up here. There it goes.
Put a little bit of a nose in there. Get some of my white. Add a little bit of that lining, and I may exaggerate a little bit here. Between the gray and the black eye.
Mm.
Little exaggeration on the tiny feet.
Yeah.
And you take that time right now where you look and you go, where could I add little details? Right? Where will I improve?
Now, on your scale of 1 to 3.
3.
This is a 3?
3. Should be 3.
A level 3 painting?
Yeah. I didn't initially mark it a level 3. It's going to be 1 now. But it's a 3. We have, so what I do, if you're here and you're like, man, does she ever do easy paintings? Yes, all the time. Or if you're like, does she ever do realistic paintings? Yes, all the time. I do many paintings a week, and I try to vary the difficulty of the painting so that everybody has some place that they've got something they can do. So coming up, we've got another kind of realistic rose, but after that is a gnome. And after that is a fun kind of splashy, like fun floral that's a one hoot. And then, you know, we're going to do a fuzzy bunny. It's going to be like kind of a two hoot. It's going to just be really fluffy and we're going to go crazy, you know, and then a more simplistic flower. So we just try to balance it out as we go so that you guys are like, oh, I have choices. You have choices in your viewing, YouTube viewing, and we like to give you as many as possible. I'm going to take a little of my white and my yellow. I don't want this to be just pure white over here. I want it to kind of feel like it's part of the comp.
Mm-hmm.
How you guys feel about it?
Pretty good.
Step 8 wasn't too bad, was it?
Not at all.
So just in 8 easy steps, that's what it takes to get to that hummingbird. I'm going to take a picture of it.
This is pretty awesome.
Step 8.
Step 8.
Done.
It's all done. You can just we can take a photo of this on any time now.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You're just all like
I'm
in
like,
the mode.
I'm ready. Should we bubble it? Because we did it.
We did it.
We did it. I don't have the
Whoa.
controller.
That painting jumped over there. It said no.
Hi. Also, do I look tan? No, I couldn't possibly look tan. Just for a minute, I was like, I look so tan. Oh, I hope you guys really enjoyed doing this. I know sometimes these bigger projects seem like, whoa, but if you break it down into smaller bites, there's a lot that you can do. I'll make this step by step and get it posted for you so you can enjoy it and use it as your reference. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.